Thank you for joining me here for the 8th reading here. We've got Christian has made it to the interpreter's house. This is good. Let's check this out together. The interpreter smiled and said, "Come on in, and I will show you what will be helpful to you." He told a servant to light a candle and asked Christian to follow him into a private room. There, the servant opened the door, and Christian saw a picture of a serious-looking man on the wall. The man had his eyes lifted towards heaven, held the best of books in his hand, had the law of truth written on his lips, and had the world behind his back. It looked as though he were pleading with people, and a crown of gold hung above his head. Christian asked, "What does this mean?" The interpreter explained, "This man is one in 1,000. He brings people to faith and nurtures them. His eyes look to heaven because his work is to understand and explain deep truths to sinners. The world is behind him because he ignores earthly distractions for the sake of serving his master. The crown over his head shows that by giving up worldly things, he will have glory as his reward in the next life to come. I showed you this first because this is the kind of person the Lord of this place you're going has authorized to guide you in difficult situations. Remember what you've seen so you won't be misled by those who pretend to lead you through ways that end in death." The interpreter then took Christian to a large room filled with dust because it had never been cleaned. He called for someone to sweep it, but as soon as the sweeping began, the dust filled the air so much that Christian almost choked. The interpreter then told a servant girl to bring water and sprinkle the room. When she did, the dust settled and the room was cleaned easily. Christian asked, "What does this mean?" The interpreter answered, "You see, this room represents a person's heart before it is cleansed by the gospel. The dust is original sin and inner corruption. The one who started sweeping is the law, but the girl with the water is the gospel. The law stirs up sin, but it doesn't cleanse it. Only the gospel, with its grace, can settle and clean the dust, make the heart fit for the King of glory." Then the interpreter took Christian to another small room where 2 children were sitting. The older child was named Passion, and the younger was named Patience. Passion looked very unhappy, while Patience sat calmly. Christian asked, "Why Passion seems so discontented?" The interpreter explained, "Their guardian wants them to wait until the next year for their best things, but Passion wants everything now, while Patient is willing to wait." Then someone brought a bag of treasures to Passion, who took it and rejoiced, mocking Patience. But after a while, Passion had wasted everything and was left with nothing but rags. Christian asked the interpreter for further explanation. The interpreter said, "These 2 children represent 2 kinds of people. Passion represents those who want all their good things in this world, while Patience represents those who are willing to wait for their reward in the next. Passion's treasures are temporary, while Patience are eternal." Christian said, "Now I see that Patience is wiser, and for several reasons. First, because he's willing to wait for the best things, and second, because he'll end up with the lasting glory, while Passion will have nothing but rags." The interpreter added, "You can say even more. The glory of the next world never fades, while the treasures of this one are quickly gone. Passion shouldn't have laughed at patience for getting his things first, because in the end, patience will have the last laugh. The first must give way to the last, and the last has no end. Whoever takes his portion first has to spend it, but whoever gets his portion last will have it forever. As it says in Luke chapter 16 and verse 25, in your lifetime you received your good things, and Lazarus bad things, but now he is comforted here, and you are in agony. All right, so today we got two really important lessons from this. Man, what a great illustration of how the law stirs up dust and how grace settles it all down, with that illustration in that room. And that's what happens, that so many times, many of us, we have lived in church cultures where things are getting stirred up all the time. We're choking on the dust of the law, and we need grace to come settle everything down. We can breathe freely. That's the wonderful thing about grace. And the second thing is this, is that when we're seeking first the kingdom of God, living out our kingdom purpose, then it's not about worrying about having things right here and right now like Passion did. Passion was so concerned about getting things right here and right now, where patience was focused on everything in eternal perspective. That's important. When you're seeking first the kingdom of God, we got an eternal perspective, and we know this, that God is the one that's in charge of the outcome of your life or the outcome of your circumstances, whatever it may be, that God can work all things out for the good of those that love him, that are called according to his purposes. Man, so that's the great thing about living in the kingdom, and that is the great thing about living under the kingdom authority, reign, and rule of Jesus, is that we don't have to be worried so much about getting things right here and right now and having our stuff, but we are concerned about having Jesus, our relationship with the King, and that this kingdom that we're living in, that it's not temporary, it is eternal.